one thing I found was it was very, very hard to be an expert at everything over the last 4 or 5 years.
Welcome to Clicks and Bricks Podcast. We talk about the entrepreneur mindset.
If you get one shot at this, what kind of shot are you going to take?
If we forget who we are, they're going to forget who you are.
You've got an adversity story that's out of this world.
Everything from that Main Street brick and mortar to that billion-dollar manufacturer.
Jay, thank you so much for joining us today. We are excited to have you on the show. You're an author, entrepreneur, American import, right? So
Yeah.
Living in Boca Raton. Can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your history and how you got to where you're at today?
Well, I grew up in Canada and I'm proud to be an American. I've been here for 20 years now. And I originally came here to work at a .com called eDiets.com. And I worked in big corporate jobs in Canada. I worked for McDonald's and Coca-Cola and Sprint. And then I came to work at this .com diet website, and we grew it to $40 million in revenue in about 3 years. Very successful. And I had this amazing opportunity because we were one of the top 5 largest advertisers on the internet in 2002 and 2003. And we were bringing all this traffic into a funnel with banner ads on AOL, Yahoo, and MSN. And I had this amazing experience of doing full-fledged, high-volume, 100,000 clicks a day internet marketing in 2002. I mean, back then, Google was in beta. Mark Zuckerberg was in high school, and we were doing real internet marketing. So at that time, I was asked to speak at the Direct Marketing Association, and I wrote a presentation called The 10 Golden Rules of Online Marketing. And so to this day, my company's called 10 Golden Rules. It's a bit of a funny name, but the genesis is that these 10 golden rules have really become the foundation of all successful internet marketing programs today. And I spoke at all the conferences early in the day, and a lot of people quote me, but not many quote me by name anymore. But the rules have become kind of the foundation of what works in our industry.
Wonderful. I was around in those days as well with AOL and all that stuff. And I remember doing a campaign with AOL, and we thought it was going to be really small. And it was like, we're making like 10 cents on every click, and we put it on AOL, and it just made, it was like a cash machine. It was wonderful back then.
Yeah.
So completely different world in 2002 internet marketing than today, but your 10 golden rules still hold.
Yeah, I believe they do because, I wrote real high-level strategies, right? Like golden rule number 1 is there are no rules. But what that was kind of like a little fun, a little bit of fun on stage. But as I go on to explain, and if you read the book, what that means is we used to do advertising and marketing with a set of rules, a set of best practices,
right,
principles, because we didn't have the immediacy and the measurability. Today with Google, you could measure your campaign success to the penny. You know exactly how many people saw your ad, searched your keywords, saw your ad, clicked your ad, went to your website, signed up for something, bought something, literally to the penny. But the old days we used to follow the rules, like, hey, we're going to do a focus group. We're going to ask people who know nothing about marketing what they think of this product. And then we're going to take it to market. And it like represented what would happen in the marketplace. But it was, it was the best strategy we had. So,
right,
the 10 golden rules were about, sort of core principles of marketing taken online to the internet using direct marketing principles where we had, trackability, measurability, testing capability. And then things like, subscription models survive was one of the rules, and I mean, I don't know if I was that smart, but certainly have learned over the years that like you need subscribers, you need email subscribers, you need followers on Facebook or TikTok or, LinkedIn. And that's going to be the basis for your success, and then sort of nurturing those relationships. And other rules like create a UVP, a unique value proposition, has served me well over the years. A unique value proposition is something on your website that people are going to engage with at a higher rate than the typical fail rate of websites. If you know that websites, in the old days, people would fill out a form, 1 or 2% was a successful conversion rate. But if we could create something like free value calculator or free download or a manifesto that they could download all the key information about your industry, we could get as high as 7 or 8% conversion. So, creating a UVP, something for people to engage with at a higher rate on your website, has been, consistent and still very important today.
Today they call those asset magnets, is what I've been told they're called today.
Asset magnets, or there's all kinds of terms for them. My friend Jeff Walker calls it a ethical bribe. I always like that one.
An ethical bribe. Actually, I heard that one a whole bunch yesterday in a seminar that I was on. An ethical bribe to get them to turn the corner, right?
You fill out my form, give me your email, I'll send you something of a perceived high value. So regardless of what type of interaction, that basic foundational principle or golden rule, if you will, of getting people to engage with your website at a high rate has been a success for 20 years and will continue, I believe.
Yeah, and it's the challenge, right? Nonstop, and I could talk all day on that. I went to marketing school in 95, 96, and I just went back to a new marketing class. I just finished a 16-week program last year. So a lot of the same methodology, right? Demographics and your headlines and your bullet points and all those things from 20 years ago to today, but really it comes down to today. It's just tracking and your and the retargeting kind of abilities you didn't have with TV, radio, and even 2002. You didn't have a Facebook pixel. You couldn't get them. There was no way other than email to get them back to your website, right? So
you had to. Your website had to perform, and then that's evolved a little bit. I mean, that like getting a download or getting an email wasn't a golden rule. The golden rule was get a high level of interactivity on the website, get a high level of engagement. So I believe that stood the test of time. But you're right. Like in the early days, if you didn't get an email, you had no way to find out who came to your website. But then with remarketing, it became a game changer because you could just show them banners over a period of the next several days. That's like the ethical stalking we talked about earlier. And everybody knows, like, if you look at a pair of sneakers today, or if you look at a flight to California, every website you go to for the next several weeks, you're going to see those exact sneakers, or you're going to see a deal on that flight to California. So we as marketers have had the ability to retarget if people didn't take an action on our website,
which was a huge turn in the marketplace and marketing. Now, 2002 to 2022, and you could argue both ways, or I could argue both ways, that it's way easier now to get into this game and make a living on the internet than it was then. However, it's way more saturated, right? You could kick up a website in 2002, not really talk about it that much. It would start getting traffic, right? Because there wasn't that many websites. There wasn't nearly as many websites in the world as there are today. Do you think it's easier today with these tool sets, or more challenging?
I would only agree with that you could argue it both ways. And I'll talk about my personal journey. So, I wrote this presentation, The 10 Golden Rules of Online Marketing. I spoke at the Direct Marketing Association, and 5 or 6 people came running up to me with their business cards and said, we got to hire you. Like we hear this Google thing is out there, and our competitors are getting traffic and they're making sales. And so, every place I could give the 10 Golden Rules of Online Marketing presentation for the next 5 years, I did that presentation, and my business grew very, very easily because I was one of the few guys in the world who'd written a book on digital marketing. But today, as my personal journey, like as you mentioned, there's incredible saturation. Like if I go into a Starbucks, there's probably 2 kids with a Mac who are competitors of mine. They have some kind of social media company, and they've done some SEO or some pay-per-click. And so, it's very hard for our potential clients to discern, like, what's the difference between this company that's been doing this for 20 years and these kids who look like that they get, TikTok and Facebook, right? But I would certainly argue that we've built a very sophisticated set of best practices through trial and error and documentation. So we're very, very good at what we do because every time we found a better way to do it, we've changed our process documentation, so we really know what we're doing. But the other evolution of my personal journey is, one thing I found was it was very, very hard to be an expert at everything over the last 4 or 5 years. Because in the early days, I was an expert at digital marketing, and it was a relatively small thing. I mentioned Google was in beta. Like, Google Ads had really just come into being, and they were just testing it in 2002. But today, it's very hard to be an expert at, Amazon stores and Google Ads and Shopify and affiliate marketing and, search marketing and Facebook ads and TikTok ads. So we've really focused our efforts at my company at 10 Golden Rules on marketing for lawyers. Now, it doesn't mean that everything we're talking about today isn't pretty much applicable for every other business, and I'll try and give tips that are as valuable for
so we can just break down a lawyer. What a lawyer is a local provider that provides a service to people in their local community that have a very specific problem. So you can associate that to all kinds of different gyms, dentists, dance studios, convenience stores.
Absolutely.
I mean, even your apartment rental, your Airbnb guy, every one of those people solve a local problem in a community. So I think you've got
clicks and bricks, right?
Absolutely, right? I mean, you got to have both. I'm a firm believer in the word "and" over "or," and having your brick and mortar business and having an online community or an online platform to support them. I think it takes both. Even Amazon's a .com, but they have more brick in this country than most providers.
Yeah. Although there is one qualification I would put an asterisk on the bricks today, which is a lot of businesses can have a location, but it's a virtual location. For example, a guy can work out of his van and have a service area, and even attorneys today are having tremendous success, without a lot of people going to the physical location. But you still need a Google Maps, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit later on. But you still need
so I've got a little bit of
a
nuance on that. So I've been moving a lot of lawyers, a lot of small 2 and 5 firm law offices, moving them from a strip mall or kind of a tall building and putting them work from home, right? But that's just distributing the bricks, right? They still have to have a desk that they sit at. They still have to process paperwork. They still have to do stuff, right? Yeah. So I think the brick part is going to change drastically over the next 20 years, and we're going to have at least half of the people working from home. The other people, I mean, you're going to have service people that actually show up and go to offices and collaborate and stuff. So, but you've got these five tips. Oh yeah, the next 20 years. We could talk about that for the next 20 years. Pretty easy. So you've got these 5 tips that you use for your law firms that any local business owner could use, correct?
Yeah, I wanted to share something that I've been sharing with some of my local folks in my local network here, called 5 things we do for attorney clients that you can do for yourself or your personal brand. And the first one is rarely has Google changed as dramatically as they've changed the landscape in the last year. At least for my lawyer clients, because they introduced something completely brand new that's really upset the apple cart right at the top of Google. And it's called Google Screened or Local Service Ads. And so if you're not familiar with the local service ads, I tell people to search like personal injury near me, or search like whatever your category is. If you're a plumber, air conditioning, whatever, plumber near me. And these, the 3 ads that come up on your computer or the 2 ads on your phone are called Google Screened for lawyers, financial planners, and real estate agents, or it's called Google Verified for the plumbers and the air conditioning, the locksmiths, the in-home service guys. And it's really been a game changer because it's taken away a lot of clicks from the paid ads. It's taken away the clicks and certainly the calls from the maps, and it's taken away from the SEO. So if you haven't figured out or mastered the local service ads, that's a really significant opportunity for your business.
Absolutely. It's huge, right? And I'm assuming, so that's part of the Google Maps functionality.
No, it's actually, it's a new entity, if you will. So it's not Google Ads.
Okay.
and it's not Google Maps, but Google's tied it to both. So one of the
Okay.
things that's going to be super important is to get lots of reviews. I'll
Yes.
talk about how you get in the top of it in a minute, but it's actually not Google Ads. So you will get an associated Google Ads account when you set up your Google local service ads account, but it's not run through the same exact software as ads. It is somewhat
Okay.
connected, and then it's connected to you have to connect it to a Google Maps for the reviews functionality, because the reviews are going to pop up in those ads. So it's
Right.
integrated, but it's not part of the same system. I don't know why Google makes everything
So
so complex.
it is complicated. If someone wanted to learn more about the Google Ads for service providers, where would they find that information at?
Yeah, thank you for that. So I've actually done a couple webinars on the local service ads, and
Okay.
interesting side note, it's starting to rank all the time when people search for like how to do local service ads. So I'm getting all these calls lately, and I've gotten a few clients. It's really great that YouTube's doing that for us. But the best way, if you want to learn all about this, is go to 10goldenrules.com. That's our website, and at the bottom on our social media, click on our YouTube channel, and we've got webinars on
Okay.
local service ads and Google Maps and pay-per-click and SEO. As I mentioned before, it's kind of most of the case study examples are lawyers, but it's really relevant for anyone who wants the basics on. For example, I share my secret algorithm for getting in the top 3 positions on the local service ads, and you can
Right.
find that on the webinar.
Wonderful. That is, and anybody that's in business, getting in that top 3 pack for a local search is huge for a local business. You can get in that top 3 pack when, ice cream near me or massage therapist near me, whatever it is game changing for a small business. And you have to be there. And right now, I think competition's pretty low still. It's not over challenging to get in that position.
Yeah, it depends on your category, right? So, like, if you're a personal injury
Yeah.
lawyer, there's probably 100, if not more, people approved and running a budget against the local service ads. But we look
Right.
at some of the lawyer categories, like for example, if you're a business attorney, litigation attorney, a family lawyer, there might only be 2 or 3, 4 or 5 competitors approved in the program, so they're screened or they're approved by Google,
Right.
and they have a budget against the program. So it's amazing if you can be one of 3 people or one of 5 people rotating in those 3 positions right at the top of the page, as opposed
Yes.
to personal injury lawyers, because that's extremely competitive. If there's 100 guys trying to get in those 3 spots, that's where you need the secret algorithm.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay. So number 1 was recap.
The local
First
service
one?
ads, the local
Local
service
service
ads,
ads.
and really, figuring out how to get in the top 3 positions. First of all, getting yourself approved or screened. So whether you're, plumber, locksmith, air conditioning, attorney, or even the real estate agents, great opportunity. There's relatively few real estate agents who've gone through the exercise of getting approved and getting in those ads. And the
Right.
beauty of those local service ads, by the way, they are pay per lead. They're not the old pay per click. And just to differentiate, a pay per click, someone clicks and goes to your website. Now your website has to convert and get them to call or get them to fill out a form. But the pay per lead
Right.
means they literally call you. If somebody searches, personal injury lawyer near me, or, air conditioning repair near me, you literally get a phone
Right.
call. And by the way, if that phone call is somewhat bogus, like let's say it's an automated robot, or it's someone calling for a service that you didn't advertise and you don't offer, you can tell Google, I'm not paying for that call. And 99 times out of 100, they'll accept that, and you won't pay for that lead. So you're only paying for leads that are qualified, verified. Somebody searched for your business. Right. You came up right at the top of Google. And I say it's a game changer because 30 or 40% of the clicks are going to this program. So if you're not in
Right.
this program, you're only playing with 60% of the deck.
Absolutely. So I just want to go over a couple definitions
for the casino, right?
Yeah. A couple terms really quick for the audience. You've got CPC, which is cost per click. which is generally a couple cents for 1,000 clicks. And you got CPL, which is cost per lead, right? Which is going to be more, 50 cents to $5, maybe $50, depending on what kind of lead it is. And then I've recently read, and I'm not seeing it in production yet, that Facebook is coming out with a CPA, which is a cost per acquisition program. And I have no idea how they're going to do that. I did some CPA deals in the early 2000s, and they're phenomenal. I'm not seeing any in a long time, so I'm super curious how Facebook's going to execute that. But that to me is the holy grail for any kind of marketing, is you only pay for the ads that actually turn into a sale.
That would be awesome. I can't wait to see that.
I just read about it. I've not seen it in production. I have really no idea how they're going to execute it, because the margins and everything have to play out. But I think it's important are there other CP kind of cost per lead, cost per acquisition, cost per click? Are there more that people should be thinking about? Cost per impression is another one, but I think that's pretty much gone, isn't it?
Well, Facebook, and when we talk about Facebook advertising, of course, they own Instagram, so we're talking about Facebook and Instagram, but they've had a cost per lead program for a long time. And it's actually, if depending on your business model, it's super effective, because the person really just has to click. And then Facebook will send you their already registered information. So if you say, like, I want to get that free ebook from Clicks and Bricks,
right?
You just click on that ad, and Facebook sends you a link, and you get the data of the person, the name and the email from the registered Facebook account.
And if you have the courage to go into the Facebook Business Manager and learn that particular piece is in the lead gen ad type, and I think there's probably 15 different ad types right now that you can start with. If you want to play with it, I highly recommend playing with it. Have a little bit of budget, and don't be upset when it disappears. That's your education. So either pay somebody to learn how to do it, or do it for you, or get in there and play. The lead gen, I think, is always my second Facebook ad after a video view ad. But
video is awesome on Facebook.
Video ads are great on Facebook. It's a great way to build an audience, right? But let's move on to your second tip.
Yeah, the second tip, and we touched on it, is that's probably the third area on Google. So at the very top now are these local service ads, or Google screened or Google verified. The second thing that's probably going to come up is a pay per click ad, which I'm not recommending in most instances right away. It's definitely valuable, but the second thing I'm recommending is figuring out how to come up in the 3-pack. You mentioned it a minute ago, the maps listing.
Yes.
So, Google introduced the maps functionality. Originally, it was to help us find places, right? And it's still really awesome.
Leave it up to marketers to change it all.
If you search on your phone, shoe repair near me, or, Mexican restaurant, if you're traveling and, your friends want Mexican, you can click on the restaurant, and the maps is going to take you there. So the original functionality is designed to deliver you to a physical location. Click to a brick.
Right.
You will. But, as you mentioned, as marketers, we started recognizing the opportunity that if we could figure out the algorithm to get in what we call the 3-pack, those 3 business listings that Google's going to put with a map, with a little red dot on a map. It's literally going to guide people to your location. That's a tremendous business and marketing opportunity. So we've recognized that there's a whole SEO, search engine optimization algorithm for the map listings. So the same way you can SEO, search engine optimize your website to get on the top of Google's free SEO listings, you can search engine optimize your Google Maps listing to get in the 3-pack, or get number 1 of the 3 on the maps. And that's, like we said, it's the same for the shoe repair, it's the same for the law firm, and it's the same for the restaurant. So some of those factors in that algorithm, first and foremost, you need lots of reviews, and you need good reviews. And so there's actually, the best tip I give folks there is, when you create your listing and you log into the back end of your Google Maps, which was called GMB, Google My Business. It's now called GBP, Google Business Profile. But, we all call it Maps. Log into where you registered with your Maps, and there's a simple link you can send to folks to do a review, and it goes right to your review page. So the simplest thing you can do is just make it really, really easy for people to give you a review.
Right.
And there's all kinds of other strategies, and I have a whole webinar on Google Maps. But the main thing is get good reviews and spend some time in the back end of your Google Maps. Add photos, answer questions, update. You're allowed to do an update at any time you want. Create events, add photos, add videos. All the same videos that you're adding to your social media. Definitely high importance and high value. Add your blogs and your social media posts and your videos to your Google Maps, because that's actually the first free thing that comes up on Google, right? It's right below the local service ads, right below the pay-per-click ads is the Maps. Right. It comes up above the SEO, and there's a whole SEO algorithm you can take advantage of.
That's it for today's show, folks. If you'd like to join my text line community, the number is 314-370-2871. All you have to do to join that text line is send me any question about business or technology. I'll do all the research, and I'll give you an absolutely free, totally unbiased answer. Get to work.